Thank you so much, Joe, and good morning, everyone. I hope you're safe and well. My name is Alexander Ernstson. I'm the Customer Success Manager for Euro North. I'm here with my colleague, Ian Pilkington, and today's agenda. So the agenda today is why DraftSight Enterprise and the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. Can DraftSight Enterprise fulfill all your 2D requirements? And how does DraftSight Enterprise and the 3DEXPERIENCE platform work together? That's the questions we want to get answered, or you want to get answered during this webinar. So I guess all of you, we live in a really changing world today. And I think you all during this call and this webinar had this as your present or before, that you met with your colleagues, you had your design reviews at your offices together with clients as well. But it's changing, and it's been changing since, this pandemic, the COVID-19 started. This is a huge challenge, and it needs to be addressed. And this is the key to this is business continuity, be able to collaborate with your fellow colleagues and your customers. And you're probably very familiar with this setup today. We're pretty much all of us working from home, and occasionally, of course, going into your local offices and meet with your clients every now and then, if it's even possible due to local restrictions in your country. Business resilience and the continuity, flexibility of working from anywhere, and collaboration is key. Without it, it's not an option anymore to continue being in business. Big disruption for everyone. We need to adapt to this. And also, can DraftSight Enterprise fulfill all your 2D requirements? I would say yes, it sure can. Not only limit to open up an AutoCAD file, for example, and continue to produce 100% compatible DWG files, but we also support with the DraftSight Enterprise the complete dynamic blocks, for example, the Lisp routines that you've been using for many years, dimension styles, layers, the list goes on. And I would really encourage you to contact your local reseller if you have more technical questions on this. But don't limit it to my statement. Here's an interesting article written by Lynn Allen for a community called Augie, which is the world's largest CAD and BIM user group. And she's stating it. And if Lynn is stating this, she's been in the Autodesk AutoCAD world for over 20 years and been working probably with you attending today, having questions around 2D. She knows 2D, that's for sure. And I also believe we can't afford to limit ourselves to requirements related to features and functions. We also need to address the bigger challenges and disruption taking place in our world today. So once again, the business resilience and continuity, flexibility of working from anywhere, and collaboration is key. Without it would not be an option anymore to continue being in business. Big disruptions for everyone, and we really need to adapt. But what we can give you or offer you is the flexibility, choosing the most suitable license option for your business. If you want to have a perpetual license offer or a term model, it's up to you. If you have a network license, if you want to have a network license option to support your teams locally, regionally, or even globally, you can have that option with us. And all this put together at an attractive price point, which is really welcomed in these days, right? And I really want to encourage once again, contact your reseller to find out more information and also take advantage of our special offer, Save Big, on the DraftSight Enterprise today. Yeah, hand over to you, Ian.
So let's get going. So we're bringing together these two market-leading technologies. So DraftSight Enterprise is really a bulletproof 2D design package, generating and storing and managing DWG files, and the 3DEXPERIENCE platform. So for those of you who don't know about the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, it's a cloud-based platform that really encompasses lots of parts of your business. But for this part of the solution, we're just going to look at how you as a designer can really exploit what the 3DEXPERIENCE platform can do for you to help you get your job done. So, and from the polls we've just run and from conversations we've had with all kinds of customers, we know that it's not just the design that's important, it's also the way that all of that critical information is safely stored, and then how you can share and collaborate with other people, whether it's your team members in engineering, manufacturing, marketing, suppliers, customers, etc. So let's take a look at some common challenges, and what we generally see is that when it comes to 2D drawings, you generally want to bring a drawing to its, if you like, its full readiness, usually to a point where you can move maybe to manufacturing or to start construction, installation of certain systems, etc. And that in itself brings challenges. You know, how are the drawings signed off? Does that include design reviews? And probably in most cases, of course, it does. How do you make sure that you're actually editing the right drawing? How do you make sure the drawing isn't being edited incorrectly by other people? And so, you know, this whole concept of control and preventing multiple people making conflicting changes is really important. And in a traditional Windows folder scenario, like some of you have answered in the polls, or even corporate network drives, you end up with things like lots of manual naming, like final version or final version 3, final, etc. And I know I joke about it, but we do see this a lot, that you know, it's a real problem that we need to get under control. And of course, just managing a handful of drawings is challenging enough, but in reality, when you have a large volume of drawings over multiple projects, over multiple sites, things get really difficult. Okay, so the 3DEXPERIENCE cloud platform is really about connecting people, data, and ideas. And you're probably asking yourself, okay, what's the difference on the left-hand side with unstructured collaboration, on the right-hand side with structured collaboration? Well, if you think about how things are today, especially in the last few months where, you know, people can't get into offices and where we can't rely on face-to-face meetings, we've been relying a lot on email, on you know, cloud storage, all kinds of innovative things to try and get many people to work together better. And not just a design team, it can be customers, suppliers, and other people within your business. And this is where we can really help. You can imagine you have dashboards of information presented to you in a web browser, whether on your laptop or on a phone or an iPad or a mobile device, and you can store the content safely in the cloud and share it with others through online communities. And think of these communities like purpose-built discussion forums for a project or a functional team. And we'll see a little bit more of this in the demonstration in a few minutes. And of course, when you're looking at drawings or even 3D CAD designs, the processes involved need to be a bit more structured, like more formal, if you like. And this is where we move to the right-hand side, and where the structured collaboration has the ability to manage things like versions, lifecycle states, etc. And with more structured collaboration, you can keep track of who is actually doing what and when by using things like tasks and even project management. And it's like an extra layer of control above and beyond what is generally required in the day-to-day unstructured collaboration. Okay. So before I jump into a demo, I'll summarize what you're about to see. And we're going to start with the familiar DraftSight Enterprise solution. You're going to open a drawing as you normally do from disk, but then we're going to store it into the cloud, and we're then going to take control of that drawing and manage revisions and maturity, so things like in-work, frozen, released. And then we're going to look at how we can control access and share the drawings out with extended members of the team. And also we'll look at how you can add some more formal control as to what's going on through assigning tasks and also some project management. Okay, so let's dive in. So we're going to start with DraftSight Enterprise, and we're just going to go and open a typical 2D drawing file from Windows Explorer. And we can see that, you know, it's a particularly nice file. And up in the top right-hand side, we can see the 3DEXPERIENCE panel. And this lists all the information about the file. Now, at the moment, this hasn't been stored in the cloud, which is why you see the red warning triangle. So all I'm going to do, and we see that's just a normal drawing. It's not a picture or anything like that. When we right mouse button over the file itself, we can see lots of options that we're going to dive into a little bit in more detail in a few minutes. So the first thing is we need to save it into the cloud, and that's a simple save. So by clicking save, we now get a dialog box that gives us options. Obviously, we want to save it. It shows us that the revision is just going to be version A1, i.e. the initial revision. And now when we look up in the panel, we can see the green tick, which reassures us that this file is now safely stored in the cloud. We can see the version, revision A1, and we can also see that this is the latest version. See the columns actually crop, but islat is latest version. Okay, so the drawing, the DWG file is now safely stored up in the cloud. So moving forward, we want to change the maturity of this. So at the moment, this is in work. So the maturity graph allows us to make it private, release it, to freeze it temporarily. Now, in this case, what we're going to do is, because we know this drawing is ready for production, let's just go and pass it to released. And that's it. We've made the drawing release. No one else can change it without creating new revisions. Okay. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go and make a change to this drawing. Now, I'm not a DraftSight expert, so I think the most I can do is maybe just change the color of the drawings, of the dimension. So I'm going to change all those dimension colors to yellow. And now look what happens when I just try and save this drawing. Now, remember that we made this drawing released. The save dialog is grayed out, which is great. We've got that extra level of control, which means we can't overwrite version A1, which we've released to manufacturing. We need to do something different. And of course, that difference is that we create a new revision. And by hitting save now, the drawing is version B1. So we've now got two versions of the drawing. B1 is in work, A1 is released, and that's great. So typical kinds of the PDM functionality that I know many of you will be familiar with. So if we go to our panel now, we can see we've actually got some tasks available to us. So these are tasks delivered to me by the cloud, and I've got a to-do task of modifying a drawing, 62058. I need to add a missing dimension. I've got different levels of urgency. What status in it's to do, how much have I completed, who's assigned, the duration. So all this kind of capability is delivered to me. In this case, I've delivered it to myself, but I could just as easily deliver it to my design team. Now, the key thing here I want you to look at is look at the attachments. So the attachment is the actual drawing that we need to modify. If you think how many times you've, in engineering or even gone to a meeting and you're not actually entirely sure what you're supposed to be working on, this gets rid of that. So the actual drawing that needs to be modified is built right into the task. So all I need to do in the drop-down is just go and open that, and that will open that DWG file directly in DraftSight Enterprise. Now, to let everyone know that I'm working on this, I can just move the task into in work, and anyone who's watching this will see that I'm now actively working on it. And we're back kind of where we started a few minutes ago, needing to make some changes to a drawing. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, the first thing to do is remember that this is, at the moment, this drawing is in work. So I want to stop anyone else making any changes to it. So this is where I reserve the drawing, and you can see by the green tick. And what that means is that it's effectively checked out to me. The next stage is to go and add this dimension that's required in the task. And that's straightforward enough in DraftSight Enterprise, of course. Just go and drag that 225 millimeter diameter dimension in there. Move back to the panel, and save my changes back up into the cloud. And we can see everything that we saw before. We're going to create a new revision. So this will become version C, and it's still in work. And also notice now that you've got the reservation owner is me. So no one else can make changes to this file until I release that reservation. So we've got that level of control. Great, let that finish. Okay, we can see that version C1 with the modified dimensions is done. Okay. Right, so we're going to take a step back now away from DraftSight Enterprise, because many of you, we're all using laptops, mobile devices, we've all got access to the internet, and of course the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, which is controlling all of this, is accessible effectively anytime, anywhere through a web browser. So we're going to jump into a web browser, in this case just on my laptop, and look at what some of this information looks like without being in the CAD system. So let's jump into a browser, and we can see now we've got our own user interface, which is showing the tasks that we saw in DraftSight. So I'm going to finish that task off by just dragging it into the completed box, so everyone gets to see it. I can see the schedule. So this is optional. We can create a project which builds up all of these tasks into a nice Gantt chart with prerequisites, with milestones, deliverables. Of course, I can click on the task and see what was done. I've got the members of my team, so everyone I work with, and also content, whether it's documents or even the drawing itself, that are related to that project. And some summary information, so the task burn down, the resource usage, the tasks that are outstanding, the milestones that exist. And of course, this isn't just in engineering. We may within, we may have multiple projects for multiple design projects we're working on, of course. But further than this moves outside of engineering. It could be projects to do with legal stuff, sales, marketing, you name it. It's all catered for from within a browser. So you can include much more people from within your business, not just your designers. So let's move forward into where the data is stored, and we can see on the left the drawings, the files, etc. Those of you using things like SolidWorks, we can visualize that data in 3D as well. Now, I just want to look at all the information that I've got, which is either a drawing or a document. And this will filter all of that down to, I think it's 16 drawings and 4 documents that I've got on this project. Now, I'm going to drag in the drawing that we worked on earlier. And I've fast forwarded a bit, so I've actually got a version D as well. And when I click on those, we can see the maturity graph in work, release, frozen of each of those. And we can see version C, and we can do all kinds of things. We can delete it, duplicate it, we can create new branches, new revisions, all within the browser. We can even open that drawing from within the browser into DraftSight if we wanted to. But what I'm going to do is take that drawing and just drag it up into our viewer, we call 3D Player. And that's going to pull that DWG file into the browser so we can see it, obviously without having to have access to the CAD platform. Now, this is important because it opens up all of this critical information to anyone we want to share it with the right information. Now, I want to share the fact that I've modified this dimension, so I can just use some simple markup tools. So I can either draw on the screen if I've got a touchscreen device, or use my mouse. I can just go and highlight things. And you think how you do things at the moment, you might print it off and mark it up and photocopy it or whatever. This can all be done within a browser. And the final piece of the puzzle is that from what I'm looking at, I can snapshot that drawing, those changes, those markups, and then go and share it back into a community. So what's the community? Remember, we talked about this unstructured collaboration. Well, this is it. Could be anybody in our organization. It could be customers, suppliers. Think of this like a social media platform for getting our job done. We've got members in there. We can see what was done within a timeline. We can see, pictures from out in the field, or screen grabs, or anything to do with the way that this project is moving forward. And also, we have multiple communities for different things. So I know many of us, when I was in engineering, we used to have a standards book, so almost like a wiki page, and we can replicate that back into our general engineering community. So all of the standard information we need to get our job done is just stored there and version controlled, etc. So that's a quick demo to give you a highlight of how DraftSight Enterprise and the 3DEXPERIENCE platform work together. So what did we see? Well, we saw that we could create obviously create drawings easily. We know that DraftSight Enterprise is very simple and powerful to use. But then we added on a layer of control, some structured control to do with managing the revisions of the drawings, controlling the maturity. So we made our first drawing released, and then we moved on, and on the second drawing, we created multiple versions. We then moved on to how we could track tasks and projects. So we created a task to modify your drawing, and that was all part of a project. And we got to see how all that fitted together and how we could fulfill what we needed to do in DraftSight and then complete the task just by dragging the task into the completed box, which would notify everyone that task was complete. And then we looked at how we could share all this data. So we looked at where the content is stored in the cloud. We looked at the version history of the drawing. We could then view the drawing in a browser without the need for the 2D CAD system. And then we could share that markup and those ideas and content, comments, etc., back into our group community so that everyone could see what's going on and everyone's on the same page. So to summarize, the 3DEXPERIENCE platform, we saw we can seamlessly access drawings, documents, models. Now, we've only really covered 2D drawings, but, if you're a 3D CAD user, especially SolidWorks, then all of that stuff is available to you. Controlling documents is just as easy as controlling drawings, of course. It's all controlled in one place. I think the key is that it connects everyone through this platform because it's so easy to access. It's, if you've got a web browser and the internet, then you're aware. That's it. And finally, it obviously improves your productivity because you've always got access to the right information at the right time. Okay, so with that, can I hand over to Alexander?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ian. And some key takeaways from today's webinar. Collaboration, that's the key right now in these unprecedented times of COVID-19. So the importance of collaboration is the key. And I also want to highlight the flexibility once again. For you as a company, you need to have the option of network licenses to share locally, regionally, and globally for the DraftSight Enterprise. And also, the price model as well is an important thing. You want to run a perpetual or a term offering. That's your decision. And we're here to support you as a company to really conquer all the challenges you are facing. So business continuity and resilience is really important today. And once again, if you want to learn more, because we don't have time for all the questions, sorry about that, but contact your reseller to find out more information. And I encourage you all, take the advantage of our special offer. So contact your reseller. So thank you so much for attending today and see you soon.